is Russell and Hunter's The Brewmance Friday Noon. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm glad you're here. There's a lot going down this week, especially in the state of Arizona. Two huge stories. One's not making a ton of headlines, but it's huge to us because, I don't know, we don't like pedophiles. So we'll get to that in just a moment. He's Rob Hunter. I'm Mike Russell. Hey, do us a favor, share this stuff out, like this, subscribe, do all this. Jump if you're on Facebook, jump over to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, jump on over to Facebook, like, share, all that fun stuff. Help us out as we build this amazing streaming show for you. Let's get into it. Arizona Supreme Court said, you know what? The 1800s is a really cool thing. So let's go back to the 19th century and make sure that we essentially can't have any abortions here in the state of Arizona. This was a move that even surprised Republicans, both the voting base and our elected officials. And again, making Arizona look like kind of go back to the SB 1070 days where we just look like we are a bunch of misogynistic, racist knuckleheads. Optics are important.
Well, plus smart people and electing them are important because anyone could have foreseen this. I foresaw this because there was a provision that passed in 2022 that made abortion legal up to 15 weeks in the state of Arizona. Governor Ducey signed it. The lawmakers passed it. That law did not repeal the 1864 law. And there was discussion about that law, that 1864 provision that would kick in if the Roe versus Wade was overturned, which it was. That's the real fallacy of politics to me, because we have laws on the books from 1864. So don't you think before we pass any new laws, let's go audit all the laws that currently are still legal before the state was a state in 1912? Can we at least do that and go, yeah, we can repeal that one. We can repeal that one. We don't need that one anymore. It doesn't apply because this law, a territorial law from 1864, doesn't apply. However, there is nothing that actually removes the law. So the court, legally standing, can't say, yeah, we can make a law from the bench, because lawmakers failed in their duty. It reverts back to the original law unless something says that law is invalid, or if there was another provision that actually allowed abortion to be legal in the state, which was not included in the 15-week ban. So once Roe got ripped out, that 15-week ban required a federal, whatever you call it, a federal right to an abortion, which was taken away with Roe versus Wade. So back to this. And then, of course, there's all the drama that comes after that, Mike, which is all fake and manufactured to raise money and get people to the polls.
So two things of note here. The liberal wing of my tribe, of course, just losing their minds and going apoplectic over this whole thing. And I was like, everybody hang tight. Who elected these Supreme Court justices? Who appointed them? I want names. And I go, you understand, they're literally bound by two things: the law and the argument that was placed before them. That's it. I have known judges that cannot, just almost begging a prosecutor or a defense attorney to say, please say this. I can't rule the right way unless you say this. But they can't. So they do have their hands tied in that case. And again, when you go back to Roe, this is another thing, another version of it does fall upon our elected officials to get this kind of stuff done. Yeah. But as we know that there's no win in a solution in any electoral politics. So what this did when they passed the 15-week law, you know something, we can go back and repeal that law. Why don't we make that part of the law? We can repeal the 1800s law and we can get that gone. No, why would we do that? Because you see, if anyone challenges this and then it comes back, guess what we can do? We can now fundraise off of this and say, you put me into office and I'm going to make sure that stands, or you put me into office, I'm going to make sure I fight that, bring back the 15-week ban. I don't give them the benefit of the doubt that they just forgot. You know, we don't have to worry about that. Whatever. That's what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly happen? No, I feel, this is just me feeling, that is an intentional move, a calculated risk for future benefit of an electoral politician to fundraise off of.
Not only fundraise off of, but get people to the polls, right? Because there's that second part of it. Because here's what's happening in the state of Arizona and Florida, where I'm currently at. Florida has, I think, a 6-week abortion ban that's the law now. So there's now a provision going on the Florida ballot, like the Arizona ballot, because this is part of a nationwide movement to put a ballot initiative that expands the viability. So, example, in Florida, it would go from 6 weeks to 20 something. In Arizona, the current way that the ballot provision is written, it's somewhere in that 22, 24, 26 week window, which is more in line with what Roe is. So 15 seemed to be the compromise. Like, okay, cool. 15, that's like European has a 15 limit. Some have 12. So 15 seemed to be that. All right, cool. We're just going to do this and get it done. And you can still have access to abortion. It gives you 4 months to figure it out, basically. But now, to Mike's point, not only did we probably have millions and millions of dollars raised yesterday for Democrats, and probably some Republicans, because some Republicans in Arizona want the 1864 ballot. We'll talk about Kerry Lake, or the 1864 law. We'll talk about Kerry Lake's flip-flop on that in just a second, because I do want to point that out. Because the now part that the Democrats are going to lean on is not only the fundraising, making this a huge issue, but now it's going to drive people to the polls, where it's going to put Representative Schweikert in a tougher position in a swing district. Juan Ciscomani, who is like the future of the Republican Party, he's in a tough swing district. So now it forces these two politicians, which is, again, if Trump wins, having the House is vital. But if you lose those 2 seats, it's harder to keep the House. So Republicans, by not removing this law, literally shot themselves in both feet, both knees, both hips, and shot themselves through the shoulder while they're at it. Because now the Democrats have momentum in a state that is trending blue. The strategy, Mike, is really what drives me crazy on this issue, because it's a losing issue for Republicans. An outright ban is not what America wants. Even if you think it's right, it's not what America is going to vote for.
The Warren Commission calls and wanted to know how they shot themselves in all those parts in one spot. There's some magic bullet stuff happening there, but the Republicans pulled it off. It's fantastic. Just like really the CIA pulled off the magic bullet. Okay. Now, okay. For those of you gnashing your teeth and Rob and Mike, you guys must be pro-choice and just settle down. Listen up. The majority of women that were upset about Roe getting kicked to the states are pro-life. Hear me when I say that. The majority didn't see it as a win. The fringe saw it as a win. The independence that we need saw that as a, what did you say I can't do with my body? I would never do it, but for you to tell me I can't, that's a whole new ball game. So please understand what we're dealing with. We have to, as conservatives, as Republicans, whatever, independents, libertarians, whatever you want to label yourself or us, we have a battle to win. We are not going to win it by sticking our flag on one solid thing that puts us or makes it easy for us to look like we don't do our research. Because we have to stick with the pulse of the independents, and the independents were pissed off about Roe getting kicked to the states, primarily because they were being told they can or cannot do, and they ain't having that. Pro-life did not like it. The independent pro-life did not like it because they were being told what they can't do with their bodies.
And that's that fascinating point, right? And this is where Mike and I differ from most of our counterparts, and this is why we're doing it this way with you, because we want to talk with you logically, like adults, about what America wants. Because I always look at leadership in 2 ways, if I would simplify it. There's the consensus builders who work inside, right, to build consensus on a project, on buying a new business, on running a country. Or there's divide and conquer. Republicans seem to have not, as a party, paid attention to what happened in 2018, 2020, and 2022. That's a pattern of losing. And instead of saying, wow, we're losing, maybe our approach should be different. Maybe if we wanted an outright ban on abortion, we would build a case, and we would make that case over 2, 4, 5, 6 years, because you got this gift, this thing you wanted, Roe versus Wade to go away, which means your state is in charge of it. So you come up with something like a 15-week ban. Seems pretty reasonable, pretty moderated. Cool, great. Then you start your work on the next chapter. You don't go all in on a losing strategy unless you want to lose, because here's what's going to happen. Republicans, if they can't figure their way out of this strategically and not get demolished by Democrats in Arizona, Republicans have a very small window here to save this. And I just don't think the people in the Republican Party in this state seem smart enough to be able to figure this out. They just seem to, nope, we're going to keep doing the same thing. Because I want to bring in Kari Lake now for a minute. 2 years ago, Kari Lake supported this 1864 law, saying abortion is the ultimate sin. Maybe that's true. Maybe she believes that. But yesterday she said, this is outrageous. This 1864 law isn't the will of the people. So Kari Lake has become just like every other politician, just to point that out. And
I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. I'm getting, okay. My, it's not polling well. It's not polling well. Okay. My it's not polling well. Okay. This is an atrocity. Should I say that? The travesty? This is a travesty. It's my Kari Lake impression in the last 48 hours.
And that, the whole reason we liked Kari Lake is because she wasn't a politician, but it's so obvious. Every article I read yesterday, I read abortion stories for 3 hours last night.
That's fun.
Well,
How fun is that? Yes.
I
have a liberal wing of my tribe, so I don't have to read. Trust me, I got the other side. I know what they're saying.
That's the other part, right? It's the emotional part of this, because number one, lawmakers have 2 weeks to figure this out. So everybody's panicking as if abortion became illegal yesterday when the Supreme Court made that, or whatever day it was. What day was it? Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday when they made that decision, or Monday night, whatever it was.
You're traveling, buddy.
Yeah, I know. All the days are running together and time zones are running together, and it's awesome.
Got it, kid.
But reading the comments and how emotional they are, I'm like, number one, there's like 5 ways out of this that are really simple and should have already been done, but you know, should have been done the next day. Yep. But lawmakers need attention, and we keep giving them attention because they keep pulling on our emotional strings. So to the liberal tribe, Mike, that is in your tribe, the liberal, and I have some
liberal
in mind.
Wing, the liberal wing of my tribe.
You have a wing. And I actually have a pretty solid liberal wing in my group of friends too.
Sure.
And it's when someone pulls your emotions and you react, they're in control of you. You aren't, because there's not much me that I can do about this decision. This was a court decision. I already voted the way that I voted in the last election. And all I can do now is either get involved more or vote differently or the same going forward. So for me to get emotional about this, it doesn't play. It doesn't make sense. And it's so funny. I watched after this decision came out, I was just on YouTube, and I was going through YouTube because I'm in a 9-year-old's room right now. I'm in Colt's room.
I can see that.
Colt watches YouTube, and if you know anyone young, they just YouTube. So I'm on YouTube and I'm watching these videos, and Tony Robbins' video pops up, and he's talking about 9/11 and how he was at a seminar, and he had a Pakistani who was for 9/11, was like celebrating it, and had this woman who knew people in the towers, right? And they're doing this on the 12th of September, arguing. And Tony Robbins makes this point about people do that. If you're sad about stuff, you're going to be sad about emotional events. You're mad, you're going to get mad. It's the people that say, okay, that happened, now what? Those are the ones that make the difference. And that, to me, Mike, as a person, in shifting that in our business, right? Being emotional and being driven by emotions and outraged and ticked off. Instead of getting ticked off, I get analytical. And I had to work on that. But that personal freedom that I found from that, being free from an emotion because a court decided something that I can't do anything about, it's now like, okay, who's going to do what? Because this is an opportunity if you take it as an opportunity. And so far, my friend, Representative Annalise Ortiz, is trying to turn this into an opportunity. She's bringing her phone down on the floor. She's trying to call out Republicans. I'm not saying I agree with that approach, but turning it into an opportunity is what solves problems.
Yeah, I think there is a solid opportunity. Again, going back to the liberal wing of my tribe, it's interesting to me that I was told we need male voices. And I was confused by that. I was confused by that. And I really was. And Rob and I do voice work, so it's totally okay. That's what
we'll
we were
hire
talking about. Do we want to do a commercial? What do you want us to do?
voiceovers. Yeah, I mean, we got to make money, so
No, but that's the thing. So we need male voices, and I was like, okay, well, here's if you need male voices, you need to stop saying that if you don't have a uterus, you don't have a say in this. If you need male voices, you need to welcome male voices, and male voices that might say things that you don't like. But if the male voices are hearing things they don't like and they're just told to shut up, good luck. Good luck with this. Apparently, good luck with this. Because you know me, I follow the Dave Chappelle line. My wallet, my choice. Mm-hmm. So if you have your body, your choice, and you choose to keep the baby, I don't want it, there needs to be provisions in any law on top of, by the way, and including incest and rape. It needs to be above, in my opinion, that the male should have some sort of say in that side of that as well. And you know, when you do that, when you talk in the middle, when you talk from commonality, when you talk from negotiation and compromise, holy crap, things actually happen and people get excited and people get behind the cause. And holy cow, we got not only bipartisan, now we have bi gender. I'll say it. There's two. You have two of them. You have the XXs and the XYs, and they're all coming in together and saying, hey, we can say this. 15 weeks sounds pretty good. If you want to move it to 16, okay, let's talk about 16, but let's give the guys a say in this as well. And let's put some provisions in here for rape. Let's put some provisions in here for like cults and incest and all this crazy stuff. Let's get it together where we can all agree, boom, and then codify it. Make it a damn law. And it should be states. I agree with that. It should be a state right issue. All states need to come to the table and make whatever laws they do, not revert back to 1860, whatever. Come on.
Yeah, and I'll add my male voice to this because I'm not really passionate about this topic. It's not one that moves me, drives me. It's not something I have a strong opinion on one way or the other as far as what should be allowed and what shouldn't. It's about me and my choice. That's freedom. So if I have a belief in, say, God, I believe in God. Rob Hunter is saying to you he believes in God right now. Can I make that a law that everyone has to abide by my beliefs? Because and that's kind of where we're going, right? We're in this political cycle where Republicans just want to ban stuff they don't like or they don't believe in, and Democrats want to do the same thing. So we're not actually advocating freedom because freedom, sometimes people make choices you don't like, but that's the essence of freedom. So for me, I might make my own choice if it's not even up to me, right? So I wouldn't actually make a choice because I'm taking out of the equation to Mike's point that he just brought up. I have no legal say. I can't do anything about it. That's fine. It is what it is. However, if I believe something different or somebody else believes something different that doesn't necessarily believe that life is conception at this moment, do they have a free right to choose what they want to do? And I would say in this country, because we are freedom advocates, yes. Now, that makes me in my position a little bit weird, but my guiding light is the concept of freedom. And how I interpret freedom, Mike, is my ability to determine my own destiny, my path, my choices, so long as they're not, harming Mike. And I get the harming, I understand all that, but not everybody believes what the no abortion side believes. So for that side, which is maybe 25, 30%, to make a law that basically takes 70% of people's freedoms and choices out of the equation, I get real uncomfortable with that.
That's why there needs to be discussion. And this is, you got to understand, this is the topic it is because it encompasses the big three, right? It encompasses the big three: sex, politics, and religion. The things you're told you're not supposed to discuss in polite society. Here we go. We have the triad, all of them lumped into one topic, and it's abortion. And it is, talk about something that's difficult to navigate. Rob and I are professional communicators, and it's still hard to navigate these waters. It is hard to walk, basically be cognizant of the landmines that you're walking around. But unless we want to stay here in this position where we're all torches and pitchforks, they're killing babies, torches and pitchforks, they're taking away my rights. If we want to stay here, okay, don't talk, but have the courage. I would encourage you to have the courage to take those steps. Watch for landmines, tread lightly. You're going to get better at it the more you do it, but be respectful, be kind. Listen, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Everyone in holy mackerel, I'm telling you, state by state, we can get this right. We can get this right.
And absolutely. And, there's always room for solutions if we took politicians out of it and their need to raise money. But we'd also have to take ourselves out of the equation a little bit. Because I understand that I may have rubbed you the wrong way because I have a different position than you.
Me?
That's life, right?
Well, I thought you were talking about me. I was going to say.
Yeah, no.
Rubbed you the wrong way. Champ, we didn't win the 17 years.
Whoever, right? Whoever disagrees with me on this opinion. But my belief in freedom is the biggest belief that I have. Because when I was coming up, that's what I was taught that America is special about. And if I've been to 15 or 16 different countries, I've studied a lot. This is the only place that allows us to have this much freedom on the planet. And if you start taking it away because you want to pass a law, and I always find that this is the call, right? I'm going to bring the trans issue in just for a second. And again, this is another issue I don't really have a solid opinion on because, again, people are free to live their life the way that they want. And parents have rights over over kids. And some of that's weird. But before we start rushing into federal laws, we should look for local solutions and then maybe state solutions. That is the way our government and our Constitution are designed, is that the story that Mike and I talked about a while back, it was a Massachusetts. There was 2 private schools in Massachusetts. One of them had a born male who's now female on the girls' basketball team. Injured 3 players. To me, that is
in a half. Yeah, in a half. That is an issue that those schools and those towns should work on first and try to figure out a solution. Washington, D.C. doesn't need to solve that problem yet. But, again, I'm weird, but I've spent a lot of my life thinking about this and presenting these ideas, in that preserving freedom sometimes means I have to allow something that I don't really like, but that's freedom. Like you're free to smoke cigarettes. Unless you're Massachusetts and a black person, you can't smoke menthols. Oh, yeah, that's right.
A white person, nobody can. But, typically speaking.
They did it. Their argument was it's disproportionately impacting the male black community.
Yep. And that's it. That was so they're trying to save the day. I'm like, okay, but you're also depriving freedom. It's this tricky line where, Mike, you say this all the time. As soon as you have a freedom line, the march to tyranny starts.
Yeah, the power.
Yeah. So in looking at how our politics works and our politicians work and how our social media debate works, I think we're under this impression that's the way the world works. But anytime I go anywhere, and Mike, better than anybody, I've been all over the place in the last 6 months. I don't talk about abortion. People don't bring it up. People don't bring up Trump. Yeah. People don't bring up Biden. The real world functions just fine. We're not out here emotional, yelling at each other. Sure, you see it from time to time, but usually I see it online. I don't see it in front of my face. So I'm presented with these 2 realities. My own reality, of which is pretty normal. You have normal conversation with people. You can even get in depth with people, but you do it without fighting. Maybe that's just me. Maybe, I don't know, I'm on a lucky streak. But I go online like I did reading the Arizona abortion story on the Supreme Court, basically saying there's nothing we can do. This 1864 law is the law until it's removed by lawmakers who make laws. Our job as the court is not to remove laws. And that's just that's the non-emotional reality of how our system works. So to the liberal wings in our groups, okay, that's it. So that's all part of the design, right? And why Mike and I talked about on Russell and Hunter a ton about why Democrats never codified Roe versus Wade. Never turned into law. They had the Senate, they had the House. In 2010, they did healthcare. They didn't codify Roe versus Wade.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, meanwhile, was begging both Clinton and Obama, please, please, please do this. It's shady law.
Yeah. And now you're in that situation where you see how we're all being played, because this was a solvable problem since 1973 that wasn't solved. It was a solvable problem in Arizona since 1864 that was never solved, because politicians don't solve problems. They drive our emotions up, they raise money, and they try to win elections. So now, because they didn't codify Roe versus Wade, now they get to go in all these states with ballot measures and rush Democrats and independent voters to the polls, who will most likely pick some other Democrats when they vote yes on the constitutional provision that codifies Roe versus Wade. So again, if you're going to play strategy, win. Don't play emotions because your voting base is emotional, because that's how you lose. And again, going back to that pattern, 18, 20, 22. And don't, stolen elections. Okay, 18 was not, 22 really was not.
16 was, ask Hillary. Ask Hillary. 16 was, just ask Hillary. She wrote 2 books on it.
But that's another interesting point, right? Because while this emotion happens, who trusts anybody? The Democrats have done a good job saying to their team Democrat, don't trust Republicans. Republicans have done a fantastic job of saying, don't trust Democrats. So now here we are. All of us lose now because Arizona's emotional, because politicians love it when we're emotional, because the win here is always for the politicians, not for us.
Like Charlemagne the God said that basically DEI is it's racist. So listen to this. Massachusetts Hospital Group. Let's stick with Massachusetts, shall we? Rob?
I love
everybody?
It. Well, I moved.
Glad you escaped, kid. Massachusetts Hospital Group will no longer file neglect reports for babies born with drugs in their system for racial equity.
So just like the smoking, we're helping.
What in the racist kind of craziness is this? Holy mackerel. Like, they don't care. Y'all don't care about kids. You don't care about babies. Those babies are born to drug addicts. Those babies need help. And those babies are not going to get help because, they might offend somebody because, the black community, they're the ones most likely to do this. That's racist.
Mm-hmm.
That's racist.
Well, it is most likely, I don't know, it's probably a bunch of white people, middle-aged white people, who have read these books about how bad white people are and believe it because language is contagious. I mentioned Tony Robbins a little ago. Another video I watched of Tony Robbins, I went down this rabbit hole, was basically how you can be brainwashed. External meets internal. So I say something enough to you, eventually you'll start to believe it. Even if it's a lie. And Hitler knew this, and Goebbels knew this, and every politician knows this, and every marketer knows this. Say it enough, that external will go internal in here and rattle around in your head, and will start to influence your thinking. That's what's happening here. All of the inputs that we have, if you're not solely focused on Russell and Hunter, because we reason with you, we talk to you like normal people, our inputs that we're giving you are designed to help you think more, to help you control your own mind and your own body more. Online, all it's doing is reinforcing the old habits that we all have, those base instincts that I have to be right, screw the other side, and oh my God. And then for the white liberals, most likely in this case, they've been getting fed all that information. That external became internal, and the best solution they came up with was, well, okay, if a black or brown baby is born addicted to drugs, we won't do anything about it because equity.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with equity?
It's absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Hey, let's talk about our very own Phoenix Suns, the world's worst super team in history of all sports. Yeah. A collection of superstars that really just don't care to win. Just out there collecting a paycheck, and it's embarrassing. It really is. But the Suns do have, this is not a sports program, the Phoenix Suns do have a super fan, Mr. Orange. Have you heard of this guy, Mr. ORNG? See what he did there? It's for the cool kids, right? Mr. Orange. Yeah, he's no longer going to be at the Suns games this year because he in jail.
Hmm.
Yeah, he is accused of soliciting sexual photos, videos from students in another teacher's class. So he is a volunteer basketball coach over there in Peoria, and he has been asking kids for naughty photos.
Hmm.
Yeah, careful who you just decide to pluck out of a stand and say, that's one of our guys right there, Mr. Orange, super fan. As a matter of fact, they took down another teacher. Because that teacher didn't knew what was going on and didn't report it. So basically an accomplice to this entire thing. Patrick Batillo is his name. He was the varsity basketball coach. And yesterday, the district was made aware that he had allegedly committed sex crimes involving children.
Made aware. We were made aware of a shady teacher. Mr. Orange is pretty shady. Allegedly, of course.
Allegedly. We have it all on, we have it all on video. We have it all on text. We have everything that he's ever done. We have all the text messages, but now, allegedly. No, he did it and needs to just be absolutely rung up. I mean, come on. Can as a society, can we, and I'm not saying kill, but can we just abort from society all of these pedophiles and people that like underage children?
But see, this is very interesting to me in the light of the allegations from Mr. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Diddy.
No Diddy.
No Diddy, whatever he is, Sean Combs.
No, do you know what's the thing now? You remember people would say, and this was a term to relax people, they'd say if they didn't want to sound like they were homosexuals, they'd say no homo. Remember this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Now it's no Diddy. Going everywhere. No Diddy. People say, hey, man, I want to spend some time with you, Robbie. No Diddy.
No, okay. I'm down with that.
I'm following with the cool kids. I'm following the cool kids lingo.
I love it. Yep, okay. I love it.
All right.
See, this guy, Mr. Orange, is easy. It's easy to prosecute. He didn't have any money. Probably going to have a public defender. Maybe he's going to have an okay lawyer. Maybe he's got some money. I don't know. But he's not going to have the Mike Russell / O.J. Simpson team, right? Why was it difficult to get O.J. in jail? He got money.
Yep.
So a guy like Jeffrey Epstein got money. And when Jeffrey Epstein got busted in like 2008, they gave him a plea deal. And it was this wimpy, rinky-dink plea deal, despite the allegations behind it, which were very similar to Mr. Orange, but in different way, right? So that's the actual reality of America is government loves to go after easy targets. They don't like to risk their reputations taking on P. Diddy because you could dial it all in. I mean, they do if your name is Donald Trump, because that's a career case right there.
Yeah, right.
That's that cold, stark reality to me is that, all right, we're going to take this guy out, rightfully so. But you have all these allegations about Diddy. Is anything going to happen? Because what has it been? A couple weeks since they pulled all the stuff out of his house? Like what?
Yeah, we could.
I know the wheels of justice are slow, but if these allegations, if 10% of the allegations are true, Diddy's way worse than that guy. And that guy's horrible, Mr. Orange.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree with Diddy's the worst of the worst. I mean, I really do. If these are true, oh my gosh, that guy should never see the light of day again. But I think it was Dell that said to us, yes, the government is still collecting the evidence so they can destroy it. Yes. And would that surprise anyone? Rob just shrugged his shoulders right there. Would that surprise anyone if that truly were the case? It almost sounds not only feasible, it's plausible. I mean, that can actually be the case that this is taking so long because they want to make sure that those that have been named aren't named, that the videos that have those that shouldn't be on video, not on video. I have zero faith in the people that showed up and raided those houses. I think Diddy's going to take a fall. We'll see. Diddy's not going to be doing movies again, but I swear to you, I will still watch Get Him to the Greek. I will watch that movie over and over again on a loop. It's one of the most underrated movies ever. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And, that's art and performance. It's different. Yeah. But I just, this is where the faith in the system of doing the quote unquote right thing always becomes a question, because it is very clear that the government was not interested in doing the right thing with Jeffrey Epstein, right? It was not going to say, okay, this is how bad this guy was, and here's all the powerful people that were involved in it. Just so you know, and even if we don't have charges, are these people whose judgment you want making the toughest decisions who hung out with a known sex offender named Jeffrey Epstein? Because to me, I'm going to question your moral standing if that's the case. Because here's the other realization that I wish we talked more about, Mike. So Diddy in the music industry was as high as you could get, right? He owned a label. He worked with Universal. So he had control of who he was going to make a star, who he was going to turn into a celebrity. And when you have that kind of power, think Harvey Weinstein in the movie industry. Harvey Weinstein, like Diddy, was a gatekeeper. Hollywood, music, very much like the Catholic Church in the Boy Scouts, right? There's kids involved in all those industries. And those four examples, music, movies, the Catholic Church, and the Boy Scouts, all have had allegations of this same variety. Why? Because skeevy people understand the systems and go navigate through those systems and then do their nasty, gross, life-ruining stuff. I don't know what it's going to take for us to wake up and understand that when Justin Bieber is 12 years old or whatever and is found on YouTube, what happens to Justin Bieber at that point? Not even just in this allegations with Diddy, because Justin Bieber and Diddy hung out. Diddy was basically pressuring Bieber at 15 or whatever. He's going to take him and have a crazy 48 hours. Yeah.
Creepy.
Usher, same thing, 16 years old. So you take child stars. Look at Britney Spears, right? Look at the child movie stars. Usually stardom for a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 7-year-old.
The Coreys?
Exactly.
Holy. Those poor kids were Macaulay Culkin. Don't get me started.
Yep.
Yeah, Drew Barrymore.
And that's my point, Mike. It's fine to go bust Mr. Orange, the Suns fan, because he's asking students in his class or in his, school that he wants illegal pictures of them. Great. I want you to throw that guy in jail. I want you to try him. But I also want you to clean house in these agencies, movies. I know they're powerful people with money. I know they donate to your campaigns, but all that does is help Trump win. I mean, honestly, all that does is help us not trust the system even more. And here's the other part about it. They were able to really get away with it and sweep it under the rug because there weren't that many channels to talk about it. Now there's unlimited channels to talk about it. And I went down a whole rabbit hole on Diddy the other night. I texted Mike after Monday's show, and I was like way deep into Diddy stuff. And I was like, and it kind of dawned on me how these systems are all parallel and work the same way, but no one brings them down.
Okay, but look at this. Go back to Epstein. So you had two of the tippity top Girl Scout names that you can have. You had a United States president, and you had a member of the royal family. So you couldn't talk about those two names. So they push out everybody that had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein that was not on the island to be with underage girls like Chris Tucker and the guys that just got a ride on the Lolita Express to go to some, climate change thing or whatever, just rode the plane, didn't even go to the island. They start pushing out those names. And then, there's people that were, they were just doing that. It is a complete and utter cover up, which we know it is. I mean, that's just as, ask anyone, and my uncle was a deputy warden at Florence. Ask anyone in the prison industry. They will tell you to look at the photo of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. One person did not need 15 sets of sheets, nor would they ever be given 15 sets of sheets for the love of grief. The man was suicided. We all know it. And we all know that how many times Clinton was there. There's pictures of a 16-year-old girl massaging Clinton in the executive terminal.
And he's got a photographic grin on his face.
Evidence of that. And it's just that. So the higher ups, we're talking about Oprah and Jay-Z. Now the tippity top of the mountain there. And those that know will not let those come down. So I'm not expecting anything great, but I am expecting that we're not going to hear from Sean Combs for a hot minute.
Yeah, and that's it. It'll be curious to see where this goes, because it is that realization that there are always parents who are perfectly willing to put their kids in those situations, even knowing what the allegations are. And as long as that's true, and this is a universal rule, wherever there is a demand, there will be a supply. Because, I think it was Macaulay Culkin's parents. They stole like $40 million from him or something.
Yeah.
So they were just jerks, right? So they exploited their own kid, made him make all this money, and they stole all the money from him. Like, that's okay. Like, this is why this system works and gets away with, because there's always an ample supply, because there's a demand for kid stars, kid musicians, people that can be groomed in numerous different ways, whether it's musically, worse. And we're like, cool, I can't wait for the next Taylor Swift to come out at 13. And that seems to be that thing, is that we overlook all of the other things, kind of like we overlook that Chinese kids build our iPhones. It's that very same thing.
Giving them my pride from my cold dead hand. Yeah, it's terrible. But it's those that put them in both. They're in a position of power. Obviously, parents are the ultimate position of power of a kid. But you look at like one of our friends who's an advocate to just take on child predators. She was molested by her club soccer coach. You look at this guy here, the Sun superfan. He's the varsity basketball coach. These are positions of power for young people. Okay. So you think, well, a varsity basketball coach, who cares? When you're 16 years old, you damn well care who the varsity basketball coach is and what he thinks about you. If you play basketball, you think about your club. I made the club team. Make the club team. Don't give me that nonsense. My son's in club sports. Make it. Come on. It's a money-making empire. They make it. They just check your bank account. Come on. So, but them just, I made the club team, and we have to go through all these politics because we want to keep the coaches happy. Puts them in a position of power to do this crap. And it happens all the time. Happens all the time. Diddy needs to be made an example of, and I hope some heads roll. That's all I can hope. All I can do is hope. I don't have any control of the situation.
Look, and I'm also weird because at least in two of the cases, Trump dug his own grave on those, and he's going to have to dig himself out. It was his decisions to push forward with the election stuff, and now he's got to defend himself for it. It was his decision to basically say, screw you to the government. I'm not giving you my documents. So those are decisions that he made that he has to contend with. But if the government is willing to take on a former president over documents and the election case, why are they not willing to take on a P. Diddy? Why are they not willing to take on an Epstein? Why are they not willing to find the Jack Smith, the guy that's a special prosecutor in Trump's case, a guy that they handpicked because he's a bulldog and he's not afraid of anybody? Put that guy in front of the special counsel on P. Diddy. Make him the lead investigator, prosecutor, whatever, to bring down that guy. Because, I saw a business analyst study that in about every profession, about 4% of your employees are your top performers. You're excellent. You're all-stars, the all-star team of your company. And then there's a bunch that are kind of in the middle that are pretty good, get the job done. And then there's some who do okay and not really engaged. And then they have, the bottom 10, 12%. Find the 4% of prosecutors, the all-stars, put them on these big cases that have these massive allegations about the grossest stuff that you can think of. Because Mike's right. In order to convince me the government actually works, they got to be willing to take on the big complex cases that don't involve Trump. Because you're already showing me you want to take on big complex cases, but it does seem political, at least to a good portion of this country. And again, I think Trump's decision-making during the pandemic and post-election, I wouldn't have done it. And I think that's why he's in this position. And I know that's odd for me to say, but again, I'm just being honest with you. But that willingness to take that guy on as a former president with all these legal hurdles that you have to jump through, and they're like, let's do it. But when it comes to P. Diddy, it's crickets. When it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, it's like, we gave him a softball plea deal in 2008, and then we're finally caught up to him, but we're not going to tell you who else was involved.
Taking out a political opponent is nowhere near Epstein and Diddy. Because taking out a political opponent we're watching it right before our eyes. Period. We're watching it right before our eyes. Shockingly, everyone prosecuting Donald Trump is a Democrat. Wow, it's so surprising to everybody. We're watching it unfold between our eyes, right in front of our eyes. The Diddy and Epstein, the reason why Epstein did not have a special counsel, and Ghislaine Maxwell took the fall for this, is because those that would have to appoint the special counsel are tied to those that would be named. So
Yep.
this is so you won't get a Diddy commission
Exactly.
because of all of the Jay-Z money that went to XYZ candidate that is now a sitting senator or Oprah or whoever the hell it is. All of that, they're not going to get a commission because they bought the people that would be assigning the commission and naming their names.
And you could even make the case, because Diddy did rock the vote too. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I'd forgotten about that. I think we had mentioned that the other day. Rock the vote, which was 2004 maybe, is when it started. Try to get Democrats to go vote, right? Try to get people to register as Democrats. So you could make the case that for people like Diddy, who become big, huge, powerful people, got a lot of money, put that money into politics because it offers them protection. Because, well, we need Diddy. Just like Harvey Weinstein. I knew the allegations about Harvey Weinstein, and I'm not a Hollywood insider, but I'd heard those allegations. But he was a big-time Democrat fundraiser. Check out the number of pictures of Harvey Weinstein with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
All these big-time Democrats. So, and again, maybe this is not true. Maybe none of it is, but the optics make it look true. And that is really what's, in my opinion, Mike, is causing a lot of the turmoil in this country, is that it doesn't appear to work unless you're connected. And I think that was kind of Trump's main message in 2016, is that, yeah, the system's rigged. I used it, like Chappelle said on his SNL skit. And that was like, yeah, most of us Americans do feel that the system is rigged. Even young progressives understand the system's rigged. So that, to me, is exactly what we're talking about. The big angst in America is because the Oprahs and P. Diddy's are tied in with these big shot Democrats. And on the Republican side, it's probably the same too, the Koch brothers or whatever. But, it seems that the Koch brothers are less likely to exploit children too.
Yeah. I didn't see that with them, but we didn't see it with Diddy either. So, but his name was Diddy. Yeah. So Rock the Vote started 34 years ago, buddy, 1990.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe it wasn't Rock the Vote that he did, but it was because I think Rock the Vote was MTV or something like that. I don't remember.
Oh, it was definitely MTV for sure. It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nonprofit organization. It wasn't through MTV. It was just publicized by 1990. Yeah. That's when Chub Rock jumped upon the scene with the mean and a pocket full of green.
Good call.
Thanks, buddy. I go hip hop to make Rob happy.
I love it.
Yeah. So the Biden campaign is interesting. Remember when Bidenomics was a thing? And we would just say Bidenomics until they realized, hey, people aren't buying our garbage about Bidenomics working. And so they just squashed Bidenomics. They don't talk about Bidenomics anymore. No. Don't talk about Bidenomics. And by the way, the 305,000 new jobs added to the market. Ready for this? They're celebrating it. This is working. Our plans are working. We're saving the economy. We're saving jobs. 70% were part-time jobs. 70.
Yeah, because people need them to pay for inflation.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So these can be people with full-time jobs now pulling part-time, pulling two jobs because they can't pay their bills. Anyway, now it is, and we heard from the labor secretary on Monday, who talks just like Karine Jean-Pierre. But she said, don't just be careful of the nostalgia vote. Voting for nostalgia. What they're trying to convey is, don't think about what it was like before us and vote because it's so terrible with us. And that is an absolute, it's not a winner. I don't know why they're sticking with it, but they doubled down with it today as Donald Trump tweeted out something to the effect of, it was better with me. Miss me yet kind of thing. Remember those days? Obviously, it was better than me. You should look at my numbers versus theirs. I'm not kidding. It came through in a Joe Biden tone because he said, man. Okay, thanks, Donald. Appreciate that. Let's take a look at it, man. And that was it. That was all the tweet said, because they're going to don't look back at the old days. So he said, that's what he said. Go look back in March of 2020. That's what the tweet said. Go look back of March of 2020. Okay. So let's go ahead and look back in March of 2020, shall we? Gas prices $1.99. I filled up today at $4.49. I filled up my son's car. $4.49 a gallon.
That's all
nationwide, it's $3.53.
Yeah, here in Florida, it's about that.
Yeah, $3.53. Mortgage rates $3.29. Today there's almost 7.25.
1.99 is
Okay.
mine.
Hey, thank you. Right. Let's see here. Food is up 25%, rent is up 22%, and credit card debt is up 47%. So the going with Bidenomics is working because we've spent trillions of dollars, fell flat. Now it's don't vote for the way it used to be because things are so much better now. Where inflation used to be at 12%, it's now only at 4%. That's not good. That's still not good. And they're going to losing. I can't get my head around the strategy. I really can't.
I don't think they can because they really don't have anything to run on other than fear of Donald, fear of the end of democracy, which is why.
Man.
Yeah, and this was interesting too because the Biden team put out an ad in Texas, and because Texas has made it really difficult to get an abortion. I don't know if it's an outright ban. I can't remember what the Texas law is off the top of my head, but the ad focused on a woman who was having a difficult pregnancy, and they didn't let her have an abortion, and she almost died. And they just completely blame it on Donald Trump in this ad. But that's the politics game, right? Fantastic. The politics game is, and again, we talk about this all the time. We want to talk facts all day long. Great. Facts don't win elections. Emotions get people to the polls. And the Democrats are masters at emotions. And what I would love to hear from Trump in response to that, I don't know what he said, is here's what I did during my administration. Here's what Biden team has done. Here's why you're in this situation. Here's what I'm going to do to get you back there, because I'm not a fan of moving backwards, but I'm a fan of policies that will help me keep more of my own money,
yes,
whether that's
amen.
Inflation. So that's what I would love to see, because I think that to break through the emotional ridiculousness, point out the numbers and say, here's what I'm going to do. And then you're going to be incredibly happy because when you go to the grocery store, you won't have a minor heart attack when you see the bill every time you go.
Yeah, now you can't even say the joke. I need to take a second out on the house to buy grocery bills because the second is now unaffordable.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even afford about 10% on a second.
Yep.
Well, holy sweet.
No, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
But no, okay. So you were talking about, I want to go back to at least policies that help me keep more of my money. Obviously referring to I assume, Rob, I apologize, the 2017 tax code authored by our main man, David Schweik.
Expires.
So it expires. Correct. The headline I saw was at a CNN that I believe there's 119 billionaires, correct, in the United States, something around that mark, some 100 some odd. It said Donald. It said fact, no lie, fact. Donald Trump's tax code or tax break only helped 119 Americans. That's the strategy. Look, and everyone. I can't say literally everyone. The majority of people reading that headline go, "What? Am I 100? Am I one of the 119? Because it sure helped me. I mean, it helped me a ton,
and it helped everybody because it uplifted the economy. Because and Schweiker can explain it way better than I can. But the way that it was such a complex deal. There was something to do with businesses where if Mike and I decided, all right, we're going to turn this into Russell and Hunter manufacturing, but we need $1 million piece of equipment. We can take the depreciation or something from the buy of that and not pay taxes on that purchase for like 10 years or something like that, or 5 years, whatever it was. But that allows us to say, okay, that helps us afford the big piece of equipment that we need because it doesn't cost extra because the government is greedy and Democrats think that that's the solution to their spending problems. All it does is hurt the business. So now our business, Russell and Hunter Construction, can grow. We got our piece of equipment and then we can pay taxes. And I think Schweiker, again, has some numbers about how that all played out and how much better off. It was like a 2-year dip. It was a 1.5 dip in tax revenue, but then it started to go up again. And this is what I would say. I don't understand why Republicans do not use this strategy, because there have been 5 times that America has cut taxes that eventually led to more revenue for the federal government. So the actual way to increase revenue for more social programs is to cut taxes. And you have to do it in a smart way and help the economy grow, which is ultimately the only thing as what separates America from everybody else. And that convincing people of that is the best strategy, especially because the inflation numbers were 3.5% last month, which was higher than Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, really wanted.
Has she gotten anything right? Name one thing she's gotten right.
Well, she can't. She's on the Biden team. So the
Remember,
Biden
inflation is what was transitory.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't have used the word transitory. She said, "Isn't that cute?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here on the Friday noon. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Governor Gavin Newsom's on it again.
Oh,
right, this guy. He has. Do you remember when he established what was it? It was like an amber alert or a silver alert, but they call it ebony alert. Remember that? Remember that? It's just it's nonsensical garbage. How about just American is missing? How about that? That's an amber alert. An American is missing. Ebony alert if they are black people. So come on, just anyway. He's at it again. They have established a new hotline in the state of California, a new hotline. They can call it the Hate Line, because every citizen and their dog can now report what they view as a hate crime, whether it's illegal or not. They can now report, SWAT, so to speak, anyone they want to for a hate crime.
So we're becoming 1984, because that was the big thing, right? You could call on your neighbors who were not saying the chants. So, I mean, that right there, you want to get me emotional? Tell me how the governor of California, the Democrats in that state, and the one-party state are trying to turn us on each other so that we act appropriately, especially given the fact that if you ask the average person what a hate crime is, you'd get different answers. If you asked 100 people, you'd have 100 different answers.
Background checks, anything. You're going to get, mental health. You're going to get every different answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and but this is the, going back to the very beginning of this, Republicans got to start strategizing, or America is going to more look like that. Arizona will look more like California. And that is the most un-American part of it, because the whole idea of preserving freedom, neither party seems interested in it fully. They seem interested in it enough to keep voters going to the ballots, to keep people in office, because younger people have a different relationship with freedom than we do. Yeah. And there are very few people who are as absolute about it as I am. But that's the challenge to me, is it's an ideological battle about the future of America. And does it still stand for freedom despite the risks of freedom? That Second Amendment is going to come with some people dying of guns. I wish we could stop every death, but it's just a pipe dream that we keep convincing ourselves that laws somehow will save the day. Obviously not. Look at the homicide rates. Look at accident deaths. Relatively the same year after year after year, because laws don't stop it. True. Bans don't stop it. Drug bans don't stop people from doing drugs. It's living in the real world and understanding people going to people, and it's going to come with all these different challenges. But now you can call your neighbors on your neighbors because they committed a hate crime because they mowed their lawn too low or something.
Right. Lawn mowing is racist. Lawn mowing is rooted in white supremacy. You know it's coming.
I know it is.
You know it is. They want to get rid of lawnmowers. They would gas powered lawnmowers are racist.
Electric lawnmowers for the future.
That's right. They're not racist.
No,
they're inclusive.
Anyone can ride it.
This opens up. And by the way, I am gonna put on our show drive, Rob. There was a piece that I pulled that was amazing from Paul Harvey. This 8-minute story. I thought about you. I was like, and it was from 1965. Basically, a warning to this country. And I'm like, oh my God.
Can't wait. Well, it's funny. Wow. I want to go back to Tony Robbins. There was a third Tony Robbins video I watched.
You went down the Tony Robbins hole.
I did. But some of it was really old. He was like 20. It was great. This other video was 11 years ago. He gave a TED talk, and he talked about what the technology is doing to us and how it's dividing us. Our technology is great in so many different ways, but it's also amplifying emotions, which creates more division. I was like, dude, he said that 11 years ago, and now look at us. Mm-hmm. I can't wait.
As much as I dig Tony Robbins. I love Tony. I just think he's an amazing human being. Or his message is amazing. I don't know him personally, so I'll just say his message is amazing. His messages are amazing. Nobody tells it like Paul Harvey.
No, Paul Harvey's
nobody
all time. Also,
Goat.
yep,
Goat.
absolutely.
Nobody could. Could you imagine masterclass if he had a masterclass on how to tell a story? I got the chills just thinking about that. I would love. Oh, come on. If we going to get into cloning and bringing back woolly mammoths and stuff like that, can we just bring back like Vince Scully and Paul Harvey and just teach us how to be better broadcasters?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Anyway, but back to the California thing. I mean, this is SWAT. I mean, this is going to be swatting. This is going to lead to.
And someone's going to get hurt.
What's that?
Someone's going to get hurt.
This is just bad.
Person. Yep, is going to get hurt. Have to go through a trial. Hire lawyers.
Right.
And go broke defending themselves because their neighbor's a jerk.
Yeah. And by the way, it is very legal. I love me some Mr. Guy and Mr. John next door. Don't I love him to death. But it's my God-given right to hate them. I can hate them. And I can speak hateful things to them. I really can. It's constitutionally protected. That's what the First Amendment's all about. So but they now get to, if we were in the state of California, they get to decide whether or not my hate speech, how it impacted them, if it hurt them, if it impacted them in a negative way, and what the state of California is going to do about it. Absolute lunacy.
So Republicans, the party, the leadership, please stop losing to these yahoos, because I don't know how. I don't know how you lose to Katie Hobbs. I don't know how you lose to Joe Biden. I don't know how you lose to some of these people. So let's maybe stop that. Let's maybe think smarter than they do and out-strategize them for once.
And I'll let Rob be the final vote, because I vote yes. I'll let Rob say let's do Monday. Let's see if we can end the show with that Paul Harvey piece audio. I think that'd be pretty rad.
Great idea.
It'd be a good thing to do. So hey, y'all, guess what? Have fun this weekend. Is going to be absolutely bananas. The weather is going to be so fantastic. Please have some fun. Have some fun with your families. And just enjoy this. This is when we shine. We did with the basketball tournament here. We always put on a good show. We're great hosts. We made sure Rob and I had our sign out front. Thank you for visiting. Please don't move here. But it's okay. And it had a state of California shape. I think they got the point. I don't know. Who knows? But get out and have some fun. Rob, safe travels, my man. I know you're traveling all over God's green planet, and we love you for it, and we're proud of you, and we're happy for you to get you to do that. So safe travels, my man. And hey, we will chat with y'all Monday at 4:00 right here on Russell